The restaurant was loud with the clatter of silverware and the low hum of conversation, but Marcus didn't hear any of it. He was staring at the little girl across the room who was staring at his food. She couldn't have been more than 4 years old, small for her age, with wild blonde curls that framed a face both innocent and heartbreakingly sad. She stood just a few feet from a woman who appeared to be her mother, a young woman in a faded blue dress who was counting crumpled bills in her palm with the quiet desperation of someone doing math that never adds up. The little girl wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She was simply looking at the plate of fried chicken and golden French fries on Marcus's table with the kind of longing that only a truly hungry child can produce, silent, wide-eyed, and completely unaware that anyone was watching her watch his food. Marcus felt something shift inside his chest. Something old and deeply buried. If you believe in kindness and second chances, if you think one small act can change a life, please like this video, drop a comment below, share it with someone who needs to hear this today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Stories like this one are why this channel exists. Marcus was not a wealthy man. He was a truck driver, 43 years old, with calloused hands and a tired back and a schedule that rarely gave him more than 6 hours of sleep. He had stopped at this airport diner between routes because he had a 4-hour layover and the kind of hunger that comes from skipping breakfast. He had ordered generously, more than he probably needed, because today had been a good day. He'd just closed a new contract, the first real financial breathing room he'd had in almost 2 years. The fried chicken in front of him represented something small but meaningful. A reward, a moment of peace, a quiet celebration for a man who had stopped expecting good things to happen. But looking at that little girl, Marcus found he couldn't lift his fork. He had grown up hungry. Not the kind of hungry that comes from skipping lunch by choice, but the hollow, echoing hunger of a childhood where dinner wasn't guaranteed. He remembered being that age, standing in grocery store aisles with his mother, watching her put things back on the shelf one by one, her jaw set tight, her eyes focused straight ahead so she wouldn't have to see the look on his face. He remembered the particular shame of wanting something and knowing it wasn't possible, and he remembered, even more sharply, the rare moments when a stranger had shown unexpected kindness, and how those moments had felt like being handed something sacred. He watched the mother approach the counter and speak quietly to the cashier, then lower her head when the cashier shook his and gestured toward the menu prices. She folded the bills back into her pocket and turned to her daughter with a forced smile, the kind of smile that takes tremendous strength to manufacture when you are breaking inside. She took the little girl's hand and began to guide her toward the door. The little girl glanced back only once, just one small look over her shoulder at the food she was leaving behind, and that single look nearly undid Marcus entirely. He was on his feet before he made a conscious decision to stand. He crossed the diner in a few long strides and reached the woman just as she pushed open the glass door. He touched her shoulder gently and she turned quickly, startled. Her eyes immediately guarded the way the eyes of people who have been let down too many times always are. Marcus held up both hands in a gesture of openness, of peace, and he spoke to her the way he wished someone had spoken to his mother all those years ago, without pity, without performance, without making her feel small. He told her he had ordered too much food and couldn't possibly eat it all, and he asked if she and her daughter would do him the favor of sitting with him so it didn't go to waste. It wasn't entirely true, but it was kind, and sometimes kindness requires a small and necessary fiction to protect the dignity of the person receiving it. The woman searched his face for a long moment, looking for the catch, looking for the condition attached to the offer. She found nothing but sincerity. She nodded. Quietly. Barely. They sat together at Marcus's table, the mother, the little girl, and a truck driver who had almost celebrated alone. Marcus flagged the server and quietly ordered another full plate for the mother and a child's meal with extra fries and a chocolate milk for the little girl, and he paid before anyone could object. When the food arrived, the little girl looked down at her plate and then up at Marcus with enormous eyes, and the expression on her face, pure, uncomplicated wonder, was the most beautiful thing Marcus had seen in years. They didn't exchange many words. They didn't need to. The mother ate slowly, with great composure, though her eyes were glassy in a way that told its own story. The little girl ate with both hands and got ketchup on her chin and didn't care at all, and somewhere in the middle of it, she reached across the table and patted Marcus's large, rough hand with her tiny one, the way children do when they want you to know that everything is good right now, that this moment is safe. Marcus had to look out the window for a moment. At the runway. At the gray sky. He breathed slowly and reminded himself that he was a grown man in a public place. When they finished, the mother stood and gathered her daughter and turned to Marcus with a dignity that was quietly magnificent. She didn't gush or overthank him. She simply looked at him steadily and said that she wouldn't forget this. And Marcus knew she meant it, not as a pleasantry, but as a promise. The little girl waved at him from the door, a big, enthusiastic, full-arm wave, and then they were gone. Marcus sat alone with his coffee and the comfortable wreckage of a shared meal and thought about how strange and beautiful it is that a single moment, one decision, one act of seeing another human being and choosing not to look away, can ripple outward in ways we will never fully know. He thought about his mother. He thought about grocery store aisles. He thought about how far a small kindness can travel through a life. If this story touched something in you, if it reminded you of someone, or made you want to be a little kinder today, please leave a comment below and tell us what you felt. Share this video with one person who needs to believe in goodness right now. Every like, every share, every subscription to Kindness Corner helps these stories reach the people who need them most. Before you go, we have one special request. Comment the word chicken below if you believe that one small act of kindness can change everything. Let's fill this comments section with proof that good people still exist. And they do. They always have. Sometimes they're just sitting quietly in airport diners, waiting to be reminded of who they are.